recording. There we go. And remember, edit, preferences, key map, go up to here, industry compatible, right? That'll let you set up your my navigation, QWERTY, all that stuff. But remember, and this is actually in the other video as well, the video I posted yesterday with the glow map and the metal paint for the wall light. If you want to load scenes in, right, you go File, and you go to Append, right? File, Append. Now, I might not have some textures on this stuff because I'm going back and forth between class, like Home and Surface Pro and this computer. But the lighting is more than anything what I really want to show off here. So one of the things I could do is I'm going to throw in, say, the table. So I have some place to put my light. So we'll just go Table, Append, and it'll bring this up, right? It'll usually bring this folder up, and you just go to the Mesh folder, and that's where you could just pick your object. I think regular cube should be fine. And clearly that wasn't. That might have been an older version of it. I'm going to delete that. So, File, Append. Clearly I think it's that one. Oh, clearly that is an older version of that. Darn it, man. I tell you. That's what happens when you're going back and forth between multiple computers. All right. Let's go back and let's see if I've got... that should be the newest version of it. Anyways, that's how you would append it. Let me just see if I can do the light here. Let's append, mesh, sphere, there we go. And there we go. And there's our wall light. If you actually turn on your view thing here, you should see if there's any other like textures on there. Of course, you could place these, right? So we can kind of put this on the wall here if we wanted to really quick. So remember, this is our wall light, so we can make it as big or as small as we want. This is an object, so remember, you can just hit Control-D to duplicate, kind of move it over a little bit, so you can have a couple of wall lights. Of course, you can go File, Append, and you can append more stuff. So I just go back out, right? Find another object. I don't know why my table didn't get this newest version saved, but let's append that. Let's see, mesh. Yeah. Lovely. Let's maybe go to File, Append the other one. So I think that was just, I had multiple objects. There we go. All right. Let me see if that's... I'm going to do my mirror modifier really quick. Because remember, you can actually do that. Oop. Let's do that one. There we go. Let's apply all. There we go. And I'm just going to join those just so it'll be easier to move them around. You guys will probably already have your fully completed scenes in the same place. Like I said, I've been moving my stuff around a little bit, so, you know. All right. And then, of course, I can go File, Append. But this is really about showing you guys how to append stuff, right? That's how you load stuff into your scene. So you really just go find what you want to bring in there. Let's hopefully this light has all of our texturing. Go to Append. Go to Mesh. There we go. Append. That was not the right one. File, Append. Right. Got to make sure to find all the correct ones. Let's see. We want lamp. All right. Not light. All right. Mesh. There we go. Okay. In this case, it might be on its side, so I can always kind of flip it around. And this is clearly the older one. I think this copied over when I did the OneDrive update. Things are supposed to make our lives easier, and then they really don't. So I need to flip that mesh. All right. Go to 3 for face mode. Select all linked. Mesh normals, flip. There we go. In this case, I'm not going to use the map. I'm just going to kind of recreate my little glow itself briefly for you guys. So remember, you could always do this with a specific material if you wanted to. In this case, I think I'm actually just going to separate this off to make it easier. Separate by selection. Go to Material, New, call this Glow, because part of this is showing you how to light stuff, but also how to get the glow to look good in the final render. That's what this video is about, what this little lecture is about. So I'm just going to go to Glow here. We're just going to turn this up. Get that going there. And then, of course, we could turn emission strength up to, like, say, 20. And, of course, if I turn this on, we can actually start to see it, right? And of course, we know that if we go to here and we turn bloom on for Eevee, we can get the glow right there, right? But we don't see it actually in the final renders, right? So this should be enough to kind of show the lighting for the scene. I just want to get some stuff in here so we kind of had the things I want to show you guys for it. Because what you guys will do is you'll append your completed stuff. I did the OneDrive update, and it actually updated older versions of these things. So some of the stuff I'd done is not there, and I don't want to scrounge around on my flash drive to load that stuff in. So in this case, this video is really about appending stuff, right? That's how you actually bring your things in. So you append, you go to the mesh folder, you find the objects you want to load in. If you've been doing the external data save, right, automatically pack in a Blender file, that should bring your textures in, right? So there we go. And now what we want to do is, like I said, we want to do lighting, right? In this case, what I want to do is I've got Eevee on, right? And we can go to the shading view if we want to, just to kind of see this a bit better, like so. There we go. Maybe get in the view a little bit. Remember, you want to make sure your camera's inside the room, right? If you need to do a couple of renders, that's fine, right? I'm going to go to this little options box here so we can turn scene lights on, right? And once we turn scene lights on, we need to make sure that we're using the proper light, right? In this case, we can see that there's one light in the scene right here that we already have, right? And we can click on that. Now, from there, we can go to this little green ball or green light bulb icon right here once you select the light. And right now, it's set to a point light. We don't really want that. We don't even want necessarily sunlight, although if you wanted to have sunlight coming in from the windows, you could. But in this case, we're going to keep it easier. We're just going to do a big spotlight above this guy. So I'm going to change this to spotlight, right? Now, in this case, this light is at an angle. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit W for move. We're going to bring it in. And you'll notice once we bring it in, we're starting to see how the light's working, right? Now, believe it or not, this little yellow dot allows you to kind of move the target for this spotlight, right? So you can easily kind of adjust that target, although you could, of course, rotate this as well. So if you just want to manually rotate your light, you can. So your move, rotate, and scale tools, of course, work for this light. But you want to make sure your light's inside the room, right? You see if it's outside of the room, it won't properly cast shadows. I'm just going to kind of keep adjusting this just to get it pretty close to what we want. There we go. Like I said, this target can also be kind of something that you kind of pull down a little bit. But you still sometimes it kind of moves it a little weird, so you have to be a little bit careful with it. There we go. So that little yellow dot can give that to you. The move, rotate, scale tools can give this to you as well. This little red, blue arrow will actually control the size of your cone for that spotlight, because that's what a spotlight does. Is it's a cone light, and this will do a better job of kind of mimicking the effects we want in the view. You'll notice that you can actually control the cone size here, right? So there is actually a numerical control for it. You do want to make sure your light's inside the room, right? The moment it goes outside the room, the shadow casting gets weird. But we notice that Eevee does a really good job, right? If you have Eevee on, of particularly when you turn scene lights on, of actually showing you the lighting in your scene once you have a light. You make sure just to select your light right there, go to the green light bulb icon here, and of course you could turn the intensity down for this light. So if you want to set it to, like, say 30, we can see that's way too less bright. So we'll try 300. Maybe 500 was better, right? So you kind of play around with some of the settings to get a better kind of light. Actually, I liked it bright. I'm going to go 700. There we go. And you notice how this gives us light. We get kind of a bit of our cone angle there. We can make sure we're kind of inside the room, right? But we don't need a lot of lights, right? You're going to get bounce light naturally. Eevee kind of does a bit of its own fake illumination, but Blender Cycles does it as well. But you'll notice that you can, of course, soften the edge of the shadow as well. That's what Radius does. I'd probably keep it to default. The default looked pretty good, actually. Just a bit of softness. But you can change your light type right here, right? So, of course, you can create new lights, right? If you go to Add, there is a section called Light, and you could add any one of those three types, point, sun, spot, area. But you can also change that light type itself. You just need to make sure to select the light, right, in your outliner, and then go to the green light bulb and properties, and there's your intensity, the color of your light, what light type. If you want to soften the shadow, you can turn this up. I think it's pretty good where it is, though. size of the cone, which is how big the actual cone shape is. We want it quite large. So this starts to give us our lighting setup. And the nice thing is we can just have Eevee on to see it. You notice that shading doesn't show this stuff. Eevee does, right? Remember, that's just your Eevee right here. Now, at this point, what I also want to do is we're going to go to the... we don't need rendering quite yet, so shading's probably good. But there is this little kind of pull down right here, or that kind of little guy on the side. Remember, there's those little kind of triangle V's on the side that point out. Let's rotate a little bit so you can kind of see it. We can click on that, and we can go to View here. And one of the things is you can actually lock your camera to view. So I'm going to lock camera to view, and I'm going to go to View up here so that we can go to Cameras and do Active Camera, right? So that's that camera right there. But you'll notice now that by using camera to view, the kind of lock, you can use your normal navigation to get the view you want, right? Beforehand, you kind of had to do all that other stuff where you'd navigate around and do other things. If you wanted to kind of delete one of your walls, right? So it's kind of one of those things where if you like this view right here, you might delete the polygons, right? So it's kind of one of those things you can always delete that. I'm just going to go inside because I don't need to show you guys everything, right, for this. Just enough. But basically, opening this little section up right here, that little V, open that up, go to View, Camera to View. That'll lock your navigation so that when you go to View here and you go to Cameras, Active Camera, it'll use this as your proper rendering camera, and you can use your normal navigation, right? Alt, left, middle, right mouse button. So that's kind of an important, cool little thing to show off. That makes it useful. The last thing we could do is we could start to go to here, because that one right here, when we click this on, it's going to show you more what the final render will look like, right? This is your real time. This is the actual final render, right? And one of the things, though, is we want to go back to here, and we want to switch to cycles, right? So we click on that guy right there, right below the wrench and screwdriver, and we switch rendering engine to cycles, right? Now, one of the things we could also do, and notice how the glow kind of goes away and it gets a bit noisy. You might need to go in here and tinker a little bit with like maybe some intensity of some of the materials and all that stuff. But basically, we can come in here and we can also attach render denoising, right? So when it renders, it'll denoise. And we're just going to use open image denoise. So go to the denoising area. It doesn't matter if it's a little noisy in this preview. This is just our kind of interactive view, right? So we can go in there, we can play with stuff. If I wanted to, we could select that light again, go to its properties, and say, hey, I do feel like I want that intensity a little bit more, right? Maybe 1,000, a little bit better. Gives us a little bit brighter light. So keep that in mind that you do want to, when you're ready to do your final render, you want to go back to here and switch from Eevee to cycles. That's the full render. It's going to take longer to render because of it's doing full globe illumination, full true ray trace reflections. You can always go in here and play with the intensity of the lights a little more, the shadow quality a little more. But you also want to go to the denoising section. You don't need to do it for viewport, but turn on render, and I like open image denoise. Save that. And now what we can do is we can go to the rendering tab here, right? And we can go to render, and we could say render image. Now, if you did want to double check what the render resolution is going to be, it's the kind of printer icon right here will tell you it's going to do 1920 1080. And that's a good default, so we don't have to worry about too much about that. But we go to render image. And what it's going to do is it's going to go through and it's going to do this full render for us of our scene, which, will take a few minutes. And I'm actually not going to render the full image. You guys should, but I'm going to let it get to the kind of the glow so I can show you how to use the compositor, right? Because you can use it on a partially completed render if you want to. And it's probably not going to do the proper denoise till the end also. It's kind of usually a post effect. But that denoiser is cool because it will, just like in our previous video, right? We kind of went over this on our first project. Just want to wait till it gets up here. Because this is the biggest thing. Last time we could just render and save, and that was it. And technically, if you don't kind of turn the, do the glow composite for it, not the end of the world, right? So if you're in a real pinch, okay, whatever, right? But I did want to show that to you guys and have it to you guys in video form, right? Getting the glow to look perfect is not mega priority for this project in the final render. I want to see a little bit more of that, though. And you see as it goes along, it does do a pretty good job denoising the render. Come on. Get to the glow. Don't keep going around the bucket there. Remember, you want to get your light in there. You want to make sure it's in position, right? Make sure the spotlight's in the room. You want the cone angle to be pretty large so you can see a lot of the room itself. All right. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Taking forever. Get back up to that glow. Come on. Don't want to wait forever for this for you guys. Because I do want to show you briefly how to do compositing tricks for this. All right. Really? Of course you're not going to get to the glow quick enough. Remember, there's no mini assignment today. There's just the Illuminate final. You just go to, do a Google search for Manteca Unified School District Illuminate. You should be able to log in just using your name and your student ID number. Other students will probably know better how to set it up on your end because they've done it before. Like I said, I only see it from the teacher end. But, yeah. And a lot of you guys have already done it. You guys have had that experience with it before. I just want to get that glow up here enough so that we can properly show how this compositing trick will work. And like I said, if for whatever reason you're on a pinch and stuff like that, and you just want to get it in. But if you hit escape, it will actually cancel the render. But the thing is, you can still go to image right here, and you can still save that render, right? So you can still save that render for us. But what if I want to get that glow proper? You notice how it's the emission's showing up properly, but we're not getting that kind of glow at the outside like we do with Eevee. That's because you need to apply compositing to this, right? So if I was to kind of close that up, we can see it's here. We can go to compositing right here. And what we want to do is we want to use nodes, right? And you see that this shows us our render, right? So there's the render itself. And what we can do is we can actually come in here and we can go to add. And we can see that there actually is, I'm trying to remember where it's at. Filter. Let's see. Filter has glare, right? So I'm going to drop a glare node in here. And you can actually see that we could actually take the image, right? And we can drag that dot to here. There we go. And then we can go to add. And I'm trying to remember where viewer's at. It's in here somewhere. Output, there we go, yeah. Duh, because we're outputting this. So we go add output viewer. And there's our viewer. And what we could do is we could actually kind of click on this image right here and plug it into there. And now you can see that we actually can see it right here, right? So one of the things that we could do is you'll see that we have our, let's see, I should be able to see that a little bit more. I should be able to zoom that out a bit. Let's see, let's hit A for frame all. Come on. Should be able to move up the image. Of course, you're not going to show me the whole image. That'd be annoying. But one of the things is you should be able to see it here. I don't know why it's not fully loading this in. Come on. A little bit annoying. But you actually have the ability to glare is your glow, right? And viewer really just allows you to see this in the compositing area right here. But what we can do is we can actually switch from streaks to fog glow. And that will actually give you your proper glow. Size will actually make it stick out more. So maybe we'll try, like, say, 13. All right. Let's see. Compositing. I'm trying to remember how to save that out. Let's see. We should be able to see this here. And of course, it's going to bother me a little bit here. I haven't used the compositor that much, so this is one of those areas where I know, but it's kind of still a little bit tricksy. That would be how you would add that. I'm just trying to remember how to save that out from here. It should be in rendering. Let's see. We can go to image there. Hit save, but I don't think it's going to save all the compositing stuff. Room render 2. Alright, save as image. Okay. And let me see if it's on the desktop somewhere here for us to take a quick look at. No, I've got so many things open. Alright. No, darn it. Man, okay. Oh, this just gets annoying. Oh, duh. Okay, there we go. My bad. All right. So, guys, this is what happens when you're still learning some parts of Blender, right? I know Blender quite well, but this is the part I haven't played with as much. You go to Viewer Node right here, and you see how it actually shows you that proper glare now from your compositing, right? So, that's how, when you go back to render, you could actually see it. And then you should be able to save it. Save as again. And then you see we've got that glare on there. It's got that bloom effect. So that's how you do it. Just